welcome back to Streaming Media West 2017. I'm here with my good friend Andy Beach. So tell me what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so still working at Microsoft,
Okay.
and one of the areas that I've been really interested in is how we're exploring machine learning and media. And so that's what I wanted to give a talk about this year at Streaming Media, was just sort of talk through some of the different options that are out there.
Sure. And as a matter of fact, I had Scott Grizzle from the IBM group, and of course, they're doing a lot with Watson, trying to do machine learning, deep learning, that kind of thing. What is the focus primarily to do this through cloud and big data combinations, or how does that work?
Yeah. So it's really the approach that we've taken is to make machine learning available to and accessible to anybody that needs it. So if you're a data scientist and you know R, there are ways that you can just come in and train your own model. But there's also ways that if you're just a developer and you want to include machine learning, we have specific APIs that perform a function from some sort of trained model, and you can implement that API to get the thing you want, whether it's facial recognition or closed caption transcription or something like that.
So in those cases, you're doing speech to text and computer vision as part of the machine learning.
Exactly. And then if you're not a developer, but you still want access to that type of information, we've then even productized within Azure Media Services the ability to take those elements, upload your content, and get back an interactive player that has the facial recognition widgets in it, or a full transcript of all of your audio that flows next to the player as it's playing, and allows you to translate it into other languages on the fly.
You know, what's fascinating to me is, having done work with what we used to call indexing, search, and retrieval way back with, Convera, Pictron, you know, some of the companies that did that stuff on standalone devices. Essentially now what you're doing is using the power of the cloud and also the distributed big data tables that you get from doing a lot of this analytics. Do people have a way to sort of score or correct what the audio transcript shows? Because we all know they're not perfect.
Yeah, so everything that comes out has some sort of confidence score with it.
Okay.
And there's abilities to tune that over time and you know, confirm how correct it is, or you can go in and edit things within your content that need correcting, and it adapts and learns from those.
Okay, interesting. And are you aiming at a particular market verticals? Because I know when I worked in Europe through a Framework Package 6 project that had a bunch of guys from Learn out in Houseby who did Dragon, naturally speaking, they could do really well, say, in legal and medical because the terminology was very distinct, but generic or general conversation was much more difficult. So how are you guys sort of approaching that?
Yeah, it really, so there is just a sort of a baseline API when you're talking about the cognitive services piece of it, where it's just trying to contextually make sense of the words that it sees based on the words around it. Okay. So we're trying to understand what something is in relationship to the paragraph or something else that's there. Okay. And that helps, frankly, a lot with the accuracy. Okay. Because it's going to understand the difference between certain terminology that might get used, because it's putting it into a context.
And are there specific libraries or market verticals that you're going after, like legal, like medical?
It's pretty wide open. You know, I think there are both enterprise applications and surveillance and educational tracks that are using it, but we have entertainment partners who are also using the same services to create functionality today.
Okay, nice. So what other things are you doing? I mean, obviously machine learning is not the only thing you're doing.
Yeah, no, you know, it's interesting. I finally got to actually do a couple of big video projects in the last couple months, which were the first sort of transcoding type projects that I've worked on in years. Okay. And it was like working on old muscle memory, like pulling back terminology and things. And so it was kind of exciting to do. But then in relation to that, another one of the big areas that I've discovered become important with what I'm doing from a sort of infrastructure perspective to video is I'm doing a lot more around like high scale data. Okay. And so taking all those like data points that we pull out through machine learning or through video player interactions and that kind of thing, and how do you how do you put it somewhere and then very quickly slice and dice it
Right.
to expose back certain, trends
Okay.
that you see. And so I've had to learn a lot more around how containers fit into this,
Sure.
and how you create large-scale databases, and it's
interesting.
things that I never imagined that I was going to be working with. I'm a video jockey. At
Right,
the end of the day,
right.
But now I'm learning all these new elements.
Well, and
it's-
as we
it's
both
kind of
know,
exciting.
the metadata, as you're talking about context of words in a paragraph, the metadata itself around a container and a format inherently can help you constrain down to particular decision points.
Absolutely.
If it's if it's an MPEG-2 transport stream, more than likely it's going to only have one or two codecs in there, versus if it's something that's WebM, it's probably not going to have AVC as part of the format. So good, cool. Well, as always, thank you for coming and stopping by, and
Absolutely.
have a
Thanks,
great
Tim.
show.